Today I'll look at the ballads Edward, the Two Brothers, Lord Randall and the Rolling of the Stones. I'll look at their known printing history, sing samples of the different versions and end with a full performance of the ballad. Oh, what's the blood that's on your sword, my son David, oh son David? What's the blood that's on your sword? Come, promise, tell me true. Oh, that's the blood of my grey mare, hey, lady mother, oh, lady mother, that's the blood of my grey mare, because it wouldn't rule by me. Oh, that blood is oh so clear, my son David, oh son David, that blood is oh so clear. Come, promise, tell me true. Oh, that's the blood of my greyhound, hey, lady mother, oh, lady mother, that's the blood of my greyhound, because it wouldn't rule by me. Oh, that blood is oh so clear, my son David, oh son David, that blood is oh so clear. Come, promise, tell me true. Oh, that's the blood of my brother John, hey, lady mother, oh, lady mother, that's the blood of my brother John, because he drew his sword to me. There are two British ballads that are often confused with each other. These ballads are Edward and the Two Brothers. I will also look at Lord Randall, which often shares some verses with the Edward ballad, and I'll include the American ballad known as the Rolling of the Stones, which is often linked to the Two Brothers. Both the Edward ballad and the Two Brothers share a similar history, in that both ballads had a Scottish origin and had faded from the repertoires of the singers at the time of the ballad collecting of the late 18th century, and there were very few examples of the ballad noted. No tunes for either ballad were collected in Britain until the folk revival of the 20th century. Both ballads had been taken over to North America by the British immigrants during the 18th and 19th centuries, and were still known by American singers of traditional songs at the time of the American Song Collection, which started in the early 20th century. Neither ballad appears to have been printed in the Broadside Street literature, often a source that kept a song or ballad in circulation. I'll look at each ballad separately to clarify the actual storyline and history. The Edward ballad, also known as My Son David, begins with various family members questioning the titular character Edward, or David, why there's blood on his sword. He gives evasive answers, but eventually explains that he's had a quarrel with his brother and stabbed him with his sword. He vows to leave his home and never return. This has been considered as one of the noblest and most sterling specimens of a popular ballad. It was first printed in 1765 in Relics of Ancient English Poetry, edited by Thomas Percy. There's been some discussion as to whether Percy rewrote the lines or whether they had already been changed by David Dalrymple, from whom he received the ballad. There's also been some query whether Dalrymple changed the name of the ballad to Edward, considering that most versions collected in Britain name the lead character as David, or doesn't name him at all. I do not intend to go into that discussion here. The version printed in the Percy collection was written in a phonetic Scottish dialect, and it's generally thought that this was part of the reworking of the ballad. Later printings often anglicised the narrative. There are surprisingly few British versions collected from the oral sources. Considering its high regard by Francis James Child, he was only able to print 3 examples of the ballad in Volume 1 of his English and Scottish Popular Ballads collection printed in 1882. One is the Thomas Percy version, another is a version printed in William Motherwell's 1927 collection, Minstrelsy Ancient and Modern, and there's a fragment from a manuscript held by Alexander Laing. Most of the later printings in the ballad books were either a reprint of Percy or of Motherwell. The ballad was rediscovered in Britain in the 20th century, with versions recorded in Scotland and Ireland, and a few recordings from England. The main carriers of the song were the gypsy travellers, who'd largely been ignored until the folk revival. The ballad is widespread in North America, with several different tunes, and the storyline has sometimes changed, which is to be expected. Both the early versions, from Thomas Percy and from William Motherwell, end with the mother asking what he'll leave to his family, and his reply is usually an angry dismissal of his wife, children and mother, whom he states gave him bad advice. This is taken up in the North American versions, but the replies are more practical in regard to his wife and children, with him asking the mother to bring up his children, and in some versions his wife to accompany him in exile. Most versions collected in Britain in the 20th century omit this, ending only with his vow to go away and not return, although some versions collected in Ireland have the ending that's found in the American versions. This is probably due to visits by Irish Americans to their country of origin, or Irish visitors to America swapping songs. What come between yourself and the boy? Son, come tell it unto me. Oh, it was the cutting of a rod that would never come a tree, that would never come a tree. Oh, what will you do when your daddy finds you out? Son, come tell it unto me. I'll put my foot on board a ship, sail to a foreign country, and sail to a foreign country. And what will you do with your lovely young wife? Son, come tell it unto me. She can put her foot on board a ship, sail there after me, and sail there after me. The tune and words are from the singing of Paddy Tunney of County Fermanagh, recorded in 1976 by Tony Russell. The Two Brothers has a similar narrative to the Edward ballad, but there are basic differences between the two ballads, in that the two brothers concerns an accidental death. The two brothers are having a playful wrestling match when one of them falls onto the blade of a knife. In some versions, the knife is intentionally used. The living brother tries in vain to save the other and generally ends up with one brother placing the other in a grave, with instructions to tell their parents that he's gone away, often for schooling, and he'll return in due course. He's to tell his sweetheart the truth that he's dead and will not return. The earliest printing was in 1806 in Robert Jameson's Popular Ballads and Songs. This was followed in 1823 by a printing in Charles Kirkpatrick Sharp's collection, A Ballad Book. William Motherwell included the ballad in his 1827 collection, Minstrelsy Ancient and Modern, and these were all reprinted in the English and Scottish Popular Ballads edited by Francis James Child, along with some additional manuscript copies that had been held by Motherwell. The early collectors Charles Kirkpatrick Sharp and William Motherwell felt that the ballad referred to an actual event of July 1589, which happened at Drum near Dalkeith, in which William Somerville accidentally shot his brother John whilst cleaning a gun. The British samples of the ballad all refer to the brothers as William and John. As with the Edward ballad, the Two Brothers was rediscovered in Britain in the 20th century, and the main carriers of the song were the gypsy travellers. Two pretty boys were going to the school. One evening coming home, said William to John, "Can you throw a stone? Or can you play at ball, or can you play at ball?" Said William to John, "I cannot throw a stone, no little can I play at ball. But if you come down to yon merry green woods, I'll try you a wrestling fall, I'll try you a wrestling fall." So when they came to yon merry green woods, beneath the spreading moon, the little penknife slipped out of William's pocket, which gave John his deadly wound. which gave John his deadly wound. Oh, you'll take off your white holland shirt, and tear it from gore to gore, and you shall bind my deadly wounds, and they shall bleed no more, no more, and they shall bleed no more. The tune and words are from the singing of Bell Stewart of Blairgowrie in Perthshire, recorded in 1955 by Hamish Henderson. Lord Randall has a similar storyline to the ballads Edward and the Two Brothers. But in this ballad, Lord Randall comes home complaining about how sick he feels, having eaten fish or an eel pie made by his sweetheart, or in some later versions by his stepmother. This leads to his death by poisoning. Before he dies, Lord Randall leaves his worldly goods to various members of the family. These later verses are sometimes added to the ending of the Edward ballad. This is probably due to the singer wishing to extend the ballad, making a longer performance. This was, and still is, a common practice. My own favourite of the Lord Randall ballad is the shortened version, My Little Wee Croodlin' Doo, or Cooing Dove. Oh, where have you been to all of the day, my little wee croodlin' doo? I've been to see my stepmother dear, Mammy, make my bed soon. And what did your stepmother give you to eat, my little wee croodlin' doo? She gave to me a wee fish, all covered in red and blue. And what did you do with the bones of the fish, my little wee croodlin' doo? I gave them to my wee dog, Mammy, make my bed soon. And what of the dog that ate up the bones, my little wee croodlin' doo? His limbs did stiffen, and then he died, Mammy, as I do too. Mammy, as I do too. The tune and words were collected by Annie Gilchrist in February 1909 from Mrs. Cremer of Eccles in Lancashire. The American ballad, The Rolling of the Stones, concerns rivalry for a woman in which a man is stabbed at a dance by the girl's sweetheart or her brother, and ends with her trying to charm her true love from the grave. When first published in America, The Rolling of the Stones was linked to the Two Brothers. However, it's quite clear that the ballad is independent of both the Two Brothers and the Edward ballads. The ballad is quite rare in America. I can only find two printed versions of The Rolling of the Stones, collected from tradition, both from the east coast of the USA. The opening lines of The Rolling of the Stones is similar to the opening of the Two Brothers. Oh, two pretty boys were going to the school. One evening coming home, said William to John, can you throw a stone? Or can you play at ball? Or can you play at ball? Compared with The Rolling of the Stones. Will you go to the rolling of the stones, or the tossing of the ball? Or will you go and see pretty Susie, and dance among them all? A version of the Two Brothers collected by Cecil Sharp and Maud Carpelese in 1917 for Mrs. Margaret Duggan in Kentucky ends with his true love trying to conjure him back from his grave, in a similar way to The Rolling of the Stones. Some other versions take a similar storyline from The Unquiet Grave, where the true lover weeps for a year and a day on the grave until the spirit returns and asks her to end her weeping and let him sleep. These actions, though few in number, were clearly added on to make the ballad a bit more interesting. The Cecil Sharp version indicates that The Rolling of the Stones was probably in circulation at that time, but sadly there doesn't seem to have been a printing of the ballad until 1939, when it appeared with a tune in Folk Songs of Old New England, edited by E.H. Linscott. The tune is reminiscent of the tunes used for the Two Brothers. The ballad remained fairly obscure until it was recorded by Oscar Brand at a 1962 concert in the Town Hall in New York, which was made available on an LP record. This ballad was also recorded in 1968 by Heather Woods of the Young Tradition for the Gallery's recording. Will you go to the rolling of the stones, or the tossing of the ball? Or will you go and see pretty Susie, and dance among them all? I will not go to the rolling of the stones, or the tossing of the ball, but I will go and see pretty Susie, and dance among them all. They had not danced but a single dance, more than twice around, before the sword at a brother's side gave him his fatal wound. They picked him up and carried him away, for he was sore distressed. They buried him all in the green woods, where he was wont to rest. Pretty Susie, she came wandering by, with a tablet under her arm, until she came to a true love's grave, and she began to charm. She charmed the fish out of the sea, the birds out of the nest. She charmed a true love out of his grave, so he could no longer rest. The tune is from Mary Harmon of Massachusetts, and the words from a version collected in Maine. In Bertrand Bronson's The Traditional Tunes of the Child Ballads, the ballad tunes for both Edward and the two brothers were initially all from North American sources. In the 1950s, both the Edward and the two brothers was rediscovered in Scotland by the School of Scottish Studies. The ballad was still being sung as part of the repertoires for the Scottish travellers the Stuart family, and recordings were made. This has enabled the ballad to have a British revival. Bronson was able to add the Scottish tunes as an appendix to the ballad entries in his collection. Many of these samples, along with later recorded versions, are now available as audio recordings as well as printed copies of the ballad. I will end this podcast with a version of the two brothers from the singing of Pat Bowley, recorded in Edinburgh in 1971. Two pretty, pretty boys went to the school, and when they came home, it's will you play at the putting stone, or will you play at the ball, the ball, or will you play at the ball? Oh, I can do little, little at the putting stone, and little, little at the ball. But you come down to yon merry green wood, and wrestle and fight I'll try, and wrestle and fight I'll try. So they wrestled up, and they wrestled down, till John fell to the ground. A dirk fell out of William's leathery pouch, gave John a deadly wound, gave John a deadly wound. Oh, brother, take you off your holland shirt, and tear it gear by gear, and roll it all in my bloody wounds, and they will bleed no more, no more, and they will bleed no more. Oh, brother, lift me up upon your back, take me to yon welfare, and wash my wounds, and wash them o'er and o'er. They'll not bleed no more, no more, and they'll not bleed no more. So he's lifted him up upon his back, and taken him to yon welfare, and he washed his wounds, and washed them o'er and o'er. But oh, they did bleed more, but oh, they did bleed more. What will I say to your mother dear, when I go home at e'en? Just say I've gone to some foreign land, where no man does me know, where no man does me know. Oh, when will you come back again? Oh, brother, tell to me. when the sun and moon dance upon yon green. And that will never, never be, and that will never, never be.